YouTube, what is up? It's your boy S Dub, and y'all already know what time it is. Boredom killing time. So I'm about to walk y'all through my journey on taking one of these little 66 motors, these China dolls, making it into a race monster. So enough jaw jacking. Let's just jump straight into it. It's beasted out, been put through the ringer, but normally when I build my race engines on these China dolls, I tend to buy them as half because these little Chinese bolts I replace anyway. The CDI I always replace to a, or not the CDI, the magneto, I go heavy duty. The magnet, I go heavy duty. As far as the good part, the piston, we're gonna keep the same size piston. We're just gonna go to a window. We're gonna look for a window for the high rod. This is a high rod, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the high rod to a short rod piston with a high windowed piston rod, or excuse me, piston. And with that combination, that's basically gonna give it like a 4 mil stroke setup. I'm gonna have to shave the skirt off when I put the shorter rod in, but no biggie. Also, we're gonna gasket match up in there. Let's see if I get a focus. Not really. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna do a gasket match. Take my Dremel, get rid of all of that material all around on the gasket, because that little bit adds the turbulence and lowers the cc's of actual charge that the piston can shoot into the jug. Also, I upgrade the wires, because the wires that come on these things, it be those cheap thin wires. I actually go to 16 gauge speaker wire, works a lot better, you know, sending current. I also wrap this in some insulate, thermal insulate, to protect it from the exhaust side. Also, I don't have the head, but I'm gonna get a new head. Gonna do a port and polish. Gonna do raise the exhaust, we're gonna raise the exhaust to add more rev. Also, we're gonna port and polish and open up the intake side. We're gonna put a case set up on it. We're gonna do the full work. Take it apart. We're gonna replace the bearings to some racing bearings. The bearings are SRK rated at, I think, 20,000 RPM. So enough jaw jacking. Let's start getting this baby naked. There's 2 seat pins on your piston, one on both sides. I already taken off the bottom. Just showing y'all how to pop off this one. It's really easy.
Dang it!
All right. Come on, got it. All right, come to daddy. Got it. Oh, I bent that one, but it's no biggie. I don't reuse these anyway. All right, yep, the rod's coming out. I'm actually out of WD-40. If I had WD-40, I would just use that. Give it a couple hits, lube it up. Bam. Don't forget your bearing. The bearing is good, so I'll keep the bearing. Yeah, that's a good bearing. Now I'm gonna get started on camera, but I'm gonna finish this off camera just to give y'all a little insight on what goes on here. A lot of people, you know, say that the port and polishing a little bit doesn't matter. On this little engine, every little bit matter. Even just changing your piston to a high to low pin, adding that extra oomph, that little bit of displacement adds just that little bit more power for these things. Even shaving off the bottom of your piston or shaving off a weight of these engines, or even the machine you're putting it on matters, or even dropping a few pounds yourself, because these engines are only 2 horsepower, you know. These things aren't that powerful. You know, you could get you an American made or an actual motorcycle motor that's rated for performance that'll be less cc than this, and you'll get twice as much performance. All right, guys, let me show you what I got going on. So if you look in there, you can see the transition. This one got to come down. Well, all of them have to come down at the bottom. But so I basically halfway done. I did the top half. I take the motor more apart, take the crank and everything out, and then work from the same angle, but I'll bring that in some too. And basically what I'm doing is I'm making like a concave type of, like a sack. Like basically it's gonna go from here and slant down and in. So instead of it going straight, it's actually gonna go angle and in a little bit. So that way the charge is basically getting smaller as it comes in, and that helps add more compression. All right, guys, so I ended up opting to grab another mower that is already broken down to where I was breaking down the silver motor. In here, this is my engine bucket. And this is where I only keep no more than 3 on property, 1 working and 2 in resurrection. But so I was gonna just keep the regular head. Now I want to do something different. So I'm gonna take this head right here and do some mods to set it up. Let me show y'all what's happening with this mod. This is the first time I ever went so advanced. Normally when I swap out a piston job, I'd use a 50, no bigger than a 52. If I remember correctly, I believe, I'm gonna have to look again, but I believe this is a 56 or a 57. Let's see. All right. So here's the original, the basic 47, the 48, and this is the new one. So I'll give y'all a little comparison. As you see, it is a healthy difference. Yep, that much different. All right. Okay, so even though this is a different engine, the work has been done on the same as the silver one, other than this has been stripped down more. Also, if you look in here, in your bolt holes, they've been filled with JB Weld, and that's because it helps minimize breach right there. You see, that's JB Weld. Let me see if I can focus. Yep, see, that's JB Weld. So we have a slight breach, which isn't a problem. And now here's the piston. Arrow goes to exhaust side. And as you see, the piston's here, which means I have to groove. From the looks of it, it looks like I have to chisel right in there. Yeah, I don't have the screws in, but basically all I have to do is just grind more material, fit this cylinder or this piston in, and just keep going from there. Also, I'm out of the screws that go here from my last engine build, so I'm actually gonna go replace the screws. I do that anyway, because a lot of those screws that we get are cheap anyway. So one issue when I get my grade 8 screws is they are only threaded halfway, which is fine, but the top half is like a millimeter or two too wide to fit in the jug. So what I do is grind it down. Okay, the tape is removed. Now I have just this last little bit right next to the thread. I put the tape on so I could hit the bulk of it. And now there we go. Let's see if our work did any merit. And that is a yes. It is threading in. Yep. Okay, now the next issue is the screw hole or the bolt holes heads are too thick. So now I'm gonna do that off camera, but I'm gonna sand them down thinner and it'll fit perfect. This is the mod I do for every motor. I can't ever find the perfect thread to height ratio that's a grade 8. And I use grade 8 because they're stronger, less likely to strip when you buy one of my motors and you have to work on it yourself for whatever reason. Okay, this particular motor, this was the one I started the video with, but we're gonna end it with this. I've been wanting to do this build for a while. This is a 56 mil piston. I've only done it one other time and it didn't come out too well, but I think I got the kinks worked out. But my buddy, he was over and he was looking at it and he was talking about how we have the right here, your slit to where the transfers insert fuel. He was saying, how am I going to fix that? Well, there's two ways. One way I go about it, but there is a second way I would like to attempt. But what I do is, the reason I have these filled is to help give me somewhere when I rethread them for blowout. Also, when I install my head, that way I can rethread a position that I see fit. And as far as the gap, that is on both sides, right there. What I do here is I grab JB Weld, take the JB Weld, and I feel this transfer slot right here on both ends. I fill it up quite healthy, you know, pretty much I fill it up and make this a closed circle on both ends. And after I do the closed circle style, then what I do is I come back with a Dremel and I just slightly give it a slant, an angle inward, where it'll help, you know, give a little flow and transfer as far as putting fuel into the ports here. Sometimes on some heads, not this style, I'll trench out the port to come completely down. Just open the port and it'll go complete. I'm gonna check it, leave it how it is, check how it rides, work my magic, but enough jaw jacking. Okay, I'm done dremeling. Now the Dremel did me right. You can see I'm bottom dead center and I have play. That's what you want. That will ensure that it won't touch anything. It won't rattle as much. There's no wrist pin in. Okay, so looks like I need to remove a little material on this side right here. All right, we are good. I'm gonna put these two halves together and that'll give me the actual rotation of motion to let me know if we're Gucci. All right, right there, that's where it'll go. Now let's see what happens. We go up and then we go down. That's bottom dead center. And we are not rubbing. So now all I have to do now is just smooth.